Hi, my name is Daniel, and in this video we're going to create a mobile client. But first, let's understand what a mobile client is. A mobile client is the mobile version of the Launchpad, which enables to create and maintain a Launchpad for mobile applications. Mobile clients and Launchpads have a lot in common. They share the same highly responsive codebase. So, for example, a desktop Launchpad running in a phone browser will just do as good as a mobile client running as an installed app on Windows 10. The main difference of a mobile client from a Launchpad is that mobile clients are installed on devices using installation files. Now that we have a general understanding of the mobile client, let's start by opening the mobile client tool. In this tool, we can create and configure our mobile client. Let's start by adding a new one. So, here we're going to give it an ID. Then, an app ID. This app ID must be set with a unique ID so that it can be distributed and installed without conflicts with existing mobile clients. We're going to give it a name as well. And we can choose from a range of templates if they exist within your system, but for now, we'll just leave that option as blank and create our mobile client. Now that we have the mobile client created, we're going to select it. Here, we have all of the mobile client settings. By default, it will use the Neptune Launchpad standard as the Launchpad application. As you can see, there's a range of settings for changing the mobile client, such as the mobile client header, main menu display, active apps display, settings, caching, and some settings as well for CSS. Let's head over to the HTML header. In the HTML header for the mobile client, we can add any scripts here, for example. Let's go over to authentication. In here, we can configure the authentication settings for the mobile client. Normally, we can leave all of these as default. We can also edit the settings for the PIN code, set up Azure AD authentication, as well as other options that are available here. Let's talk about the device. In the device properties, we can add configurations specific for the mobile client. Some properties are general for all device types, some specific for each platform. In the device preferences, we can control the build settings. When building mobile clients in Neptune, there are two options, Cordova and Capacitor, although Capacitor is still in an experimental phase. So, the recommended type of build is Cordova, which is the stable build type. You can find these two options in your Neptune portal account when accessing the mobile build services. Let's go to Media. The mobile client has the option to add a media pack that contains, for example, some logos and splash screens. In plugins, we can add some custom plugins here, aside from the standard ones that Neptune already includes to run with Android, iOS, and Windows. Let's head over to push notification. In here, we can configure the push notifications. As we can see, these are the options for the general configuration. We can also create and send a test push notification. In the config XML document, we can also add additional lines like extra plugins, for example, or even replacing the entire lines of this document. And here, in the push iOS and Android config files, we also have the option to download separate config files for iOS or Android with the code needed for the Firebase cloud messaging services. These services are provided by Google for the mobile client. Now we have global style. In the global style, we can apply custom CSS styling to all of the content. This includes tiles and tile groups and all the layouts added to the mobile client. In Layout, we can add one or more layouts. As you can see, there's already one created here by default, but we can also add a new one. Systems layouts are layouts created by default with Neptune. But if you have some custom layouts present in your system as well, those would be under here. Let's pick a default one for now. So, when adding one or more layouts, this will enable the user to pick one of the available layouts when using, for example, this mobile client, which has two available options now. Let's go to tile groups. In here, we can add tile groups. In this case, we can add the maintenance scenario tile group. Let's save and preview our mobile client. So save and now preview. And as you can see, when previewing the mobile client in the browser, we won't be able to test any authentication setup. So let's still preview our mobile client. And as you can see, with the other tile group, now we have an idea how the mobile client would look like on a mobile device. This is useful when we're trying to customize the layout of the mobile client, as well as debugging functionalities that don't require the use of a device, for example, using the camera. Let's go back to our mobile client. In policy, we can add policies that are created within Neptune, although these policies will not prevent the user from installing the mobile client. They will become active when the user logs in. In Build, we can create and maintain the mobile client versions to be distributed to the users. This topic will be demonstrated in detail in a later video. The mobile catalog is a small MDM service that's included in Neptune. This enables to publish a mobile client to the Neptune catalog. To use the catalog and publish, for example, this mobile client, we need an active build. As you can see, we have some general settings here, the ownership, and documentation. We can also add a policy to the catalog. And in here, it's where the visibility, for example, of this mobile client can be controlled in the Neptune catalog. In order to access the catalog, we can use the search bar and write catalog. Then it will open a new window with the URL, and that URL will be provided to the end user to download the mobile client on their devices. Let's go back to the mobile client. In public, this option will make the mobile client to be publicly available in the public Neptune client. We can also add a policy containing emails that can only access this public mobile client. And in feedback, we can have a list of user feedbacks that can be viewed under this tab.